Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Habits determine all human behavior. So if you want to 10x how you build products, how your team builds products, or just get people to use your products, you want to know atomic habits. Specifically, 3 things. See this guy? Brailsford took over the British cycling team in 2003 when they were a disaster. They had just a single gold Olympic medal in over a century of riding. Jump forward to 2008 Olympics and they won 7 gold medals, 70% of all of them. So how did Brailsford become Sir Brailsford? How did the British go from companies asking them, please don't wear our spandex, to the world's best cycling team with all the free spandex they could ever want? Brailsford focused on 1% improvements everywhere, from the spandex to checking for dust on bicycles, personalized pillows. They even hired a surgeon to teach the riders how to wash their hands to reduce a cold by a smidge. Really? You need to tell me to wash my hands? James, what's the point?
I like to use that story as an introduction to this idea of getting a little bit better, making these 1% improvements for a couple reasons. The first is it shows you that excellence, a lot of the time, maybe we can even say most of the time, is not actually about radical change. It's about a commitment to accruing small improvements day in and day out. Secondly, and I think this is also crucial, it encourages you to focus on trajectory rather than position, right? There's a lot of discussion about position in life. How much money is in the bank account? What is the number on the scale? What is the current stock price? What are the quarterly earnings? There's all this measurement around our current position. But what getting 1% better each day encourages is to focus on your trajectory instead. Am I getting better? Is the arrow pointed up and to the right, or have we flatlined? Am I getting 1% better or 1% worse? Because if you're on a good trajectory, all you need is time, right? If you have good habits, time becomes your ally. You just need to let time work for you. But if you have bad habits, time becomes your enemy. And every day that clicks by, you kind of dig the hole a little bit deeper. And so it's very much at the core, it's about encouraging you to focus on trajectory rather than position.
I had to do this personally when I knew nothing about infrastructure and had to build a Kubernetes-based multi-cloud offering. If you're like, what did she say? Yeah, that's how I felt. But I made a list of topics to study and I made 1% improvements every week. And after 2 years, I was a keynote speaker and I fooled the entire world into thinking that I was an expert on a topic that makes most people's heads explode. 1% improvements are also expected when leading engineering teams. Scrum teams hold retrospectives after every 2-week sprint. We ask ourselves, what worked and what didn't? What small improvements can we make to our process, our communication, or our work habits to get just a little teeny bit better? Oh, by the way, if you want to get a lot better at product management, check out my new course, links below. Sorry, that was an ad. Wah wah. And the product itself? What 1% improvement can you make with every release? Remove bugs or bits of friction, or how can we delight users when they get a happy birthday text? This is the concept of atomic habits. Tiny changes that seem insignificant, 1% improvements, compound over time to achieve remarkable success or failure. And because the tiny changes seem insignificant, you need to focus on a system that makes them obvious. All Olympic cyclists have the goal of winning, but the British win because they wash their hands. They have a system. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your systems. There's a great book about this concept called The Checklist Manifesto. Funny enough, they made surgeons check what seemed like insignificant boxes, such as, I washed my hands. Really? You need to tell me to wash my hands? But the small checkboxes added up and reduced patient deaths after surgery by as much as 47%. The Checklist Manifesto proves that this concept works in any industry. In tech, these tiny actions, atomic habits, will determine the success of you, your team, and your product. They are your identity. James, what's the real reason habits matter?
The true reason that habits matter is that every action you take is like a vote for the type of person you wish to become. And so, no, doing 1 push-up does not transform your body, but it does cast a vote for, I'm the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. And individually, these are small things, but collectively you start to build up this body of evidence. And each instance of the habit, even if it's small, casts a little vote onto the pile. And once you start to have this mountain of votes, you start to shift the scales in favor of that story.
In humans, you need to establish an identity first to become the type of person you wish to become. Like when my husband said, I am a healthy person, and then lost 40 pounds.
What are you talking about? I had more of an identity crisis. I turned 39, almost 40. After a boat party, I was like, I used to be so fit. What the
No, what Jeremy said. I am a healthy person now. And then he followed the 2-step process on page 39. Decide the type of person you want to be and prove it to yourself with small wins. You want to do the same thing with your product. You decide the type of product you want. We call that a product vision. And then you prove that vision to your customers with small wins over time. You build the features that get you to that 3 to 5 year vision. The best product companies take their identity a step further. They have a user-centric identity. They say, we put our users first, and they mean it. When I was at Looker, love was a core company value. It meant that we love that our customers love us. It was part of our identity and culture that our customers' success is our success. This focus on identity made us super successful, just like it did with Slack. You can see my video for more on Slack and their customer wall of love. If you identify as a company that puts your customers first, you'll develop customer first habits, like you'll actually listen to your users. Every company says they listen to their users, but companies with a user-centric identity prove it by the act of listening. Tiny wins over and over again. And when you listen to your users, you'll build things that they actually need. And then they'll buy those things because they need them and they're delighted that you listened. You win because they win. When I consult with startups, I ask, are you listening to customers? Yes is always the answer. Then I ask, can you show me the time commitment and the actions that you took to listen to customers this week? Whoa, no need to get defensive. You said you were customer focused. I'm just asking if your actions are too. The real reason habits matter is that every action you take is a vote for the type of person or company you wish to be. So, do you identify as a customer-centric company? Do you take those actions that prove that? Because people will love you if you do. Or you can be like my cable company and just say you're listening. Identity is critical, but it's often determined by your environment. See this man? He's Hungarian psychologist Laszlo Polgar. He ran an experiment asking a teacher to have 3 children with him to see how powerful an environment can be. True story. When Susan was 4, his oldest, he decided to test a chess environment. Susan started beating adults at age 4.5. Sophia became a world champion at age 14, and Judith, the youngest and therefore most exposed to not only chess books but also the social environment, the one that resembles the Queen's Gambit, became the youngest grandmaster of all time at age 15 and remained the #1 ranked female chess player in the world for 27 years. Don't underestimate environment for people or the products they buy. A person's behavior is a function of the person in their environment. Science. That's all it is. You want to put your product in your customer's environment? See this candy bar? It can cost as much as $5 million to place a candy bar here. Google as the default on your iPhone? Google paid Apple $26 billion to get in your pocket. Your environment. And what is this multi-billion-dollar environment designed to do? Just one thing. Hopefully you caught that. We just went from physical environments to a digital environment that influences your habits. Your environment triggers a cue. It's subconscious. Your brain is constantly searching for cues, like in nature. The sound of a river would cue your thirst. You'd respond by finding the river, and your reward is that your thirst is quenched. That's called a habit loop. And if someone goes through it enough times, that's called a habit. Now you're in an office. Time to work, gym, workout, sauna, relax, living room, watch TV. Don't want to watch TV? Don't design your living room around it. Want to learn to be a champion pool player? I put a pool table in my living room, but I'm still terrible. But you got the point. You want an ideal environment to subconsciously trigger a response that leads to success. See this face? Michael Phelps puts on headphones and his environment subconsciously triggers world domination mode. He's gone through the habit loop enough times to put on headphones, boom, game mode initiates. And this, I'm sure, has nothing to do with him and Steve Aoki selling Soul Republic headphones. The point is, you don't need much to cue a habit, but you do need to be hyper aware of what triggers your cue and your customer's cue for success, and how you'll make it through the habit loop enough times to make success stick. You want to be a chess prodigy? Expose yourself to chess. You want to succeed in a product? Expose yourself to your No, that doesn't sound right. Design a customer-centric environment. Design your environment to make it dead simple to talk to customers. Build feedback loops into your product directly so users can continuously tell you how they feel about your product. and send that feedback out in an automated report to your team. Schedule weekly user interviews to get regular feedback on things that you're building. Ask the customer-facing teams in your company for a brain dump on what they're hearing from customers. Add "What have we learned from users this week" to your weekly product team meeting agenda to peer pressure all the PMs to actually talk to users. Design an environment where customer empathy is inescapable. And remember, the real reason habits matter is that every action you take is a vote for the type of person or company you wish to be. If you want a product that is successful with customers, your company's environment must be centered around the customer. And you should be able to show the actions you took this week to prove that you are a customer-centric company. I'll have more details on my Substack, but any product leader should have this book. It's great. You got this. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is fun.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, this is fun.
It's good. It's good, I know.